Okay, it is that time, sneaks up on us every year. I mean, we know it's about this time. It's time to vote in the first round of the 2025 Goodreads Choice Awards. And I don't know what my odds are here in knowing a lot of these books or having read a lot of these books, but I do have some favorites I'm hoping to see on these lists, including a very important update that my friend Emily just texted me before I sat down to film, saying I finished The Everlasting in all caps, which was a great sign and was indeed the sign I thought it was in how much she loved it. So let's talk about this, and then I can swing back and talk about how much I love The Everlasting with my friend. Oh, before we dive fully in, hi, my name is Melody, and we talk about books and book adjacent things on this channel, and if that sounds of interest to you, I would love for you to like and subscribe and hang out a little longer. So let's just jump right in. I've been avoiding spoilers all day pretty successfully, I would say. It also helped that I needed to focus on my work because it was my first day back after some PTO. So, all right, we've got fiction, historical fiction, mystery, thriller, romance, romantasy, fantasy. I'm seeing some books I'm intrigued by in these little snippets. Sci-fi, horror, debut, audiobook, young adult, fantasy, sci-fi, young adult fiction, nonfiction, memoir, and history and biography. Off the top of my head, I can't gauge whether there are any categories that we had last year that we don't have this year. We haven't added any categories. We haven't returned young people's fiction, whether that be middle grade or picture books. Or did they get rid of it completely? Because it used to be that they were combined there for a couple of years. Don't love that. We don't have a lot of the categories I have had secret hopes for, but knew realistically were never going to happen, things like short stories. So let's just jump right in. Reader's favorite fiction. All right, so I saw Sarah McLean in the little preview, and there she is, wild, because back in the day, she used to be in the romance section, and haven't seen her for a second. Cursed Daughters just came out. I'm always fascinated by what makes it, and I clearly have not been reading as much just general fiction this year. None of these, well, I guess I don't know that I've been as tapped in as I should be, because I don't even know if any of these are a surprise at this point, and that is on me. I'm feeling kind of out of it, even as I thought I was really tapped in this year, in the sense that I've read a lot of things I've really loved. So I'm gonna go ahead and vote for These Summer Storms because I love it, and I can do what I want because it's my voting. All right, historical fiction. Let's see what we've got. Junie, I still need to get to. A lot of these I still need to get to if I want to. Ooh, The Hounding made it. Oh, The Hounding made it. Oh, that's great. I love seeing that. I loved The Hounding. I thought it was really inventive in its structure. KKK. Let's see here. Good Dirt. I still need to read that. The Sarah Penner, if you've read it, let me know. I wasn't in love with the book that I read from her. I didn't read The Lost Apothecary. I read the other one about spiritualism and seances. Okay, I'm gonna vote for The Hounding. It deserves it. All right. Next, mystery and thriller. We'll see if I've read anything in this category. Odds are slim, to be completely honest. I didn't even realize John Grisham had another one out this year. Oops. King of Ashes I do need to read. I have it. Do I have it out from the library right now? If I do, I need to prioritize it. The Dan Brown isn't a surprise. Okay, I'm not gonna vote on this category. I don't really have anything to say on this category. I burned out on thrillers in like the Woman in the Window, Girl on the Train kind of era. I never read Woman in the Window. Okay, romance. Deep End. The Favorites was categorized as a romance. Interesting. I guess that's not where I would have put it. I would have put it more general. I wouldn't be surprised. Well, no, it wasn't a debut. Never mind. I take that back. Kennedy Ryan. Okay, great. Two of the Allie Hazelwoods. Do they both need to be here? I would say no, and I say this as someone who enjoys Allie Hazelwood. I know that I haven't read a lot of these. I haven't been as much of a rom-com person. I don't know. I loved both The Favorites and Deep End. I'm starting the audiobook of the new Emily Henry. I'm going to vote for Deep End because I did love Deep End. The Favorites I also love, but again, I wouldn't categorize it as a romance. I don't know. Romantasy, I don't have high hopes for having a lot of the books that have been really big, especially on Book Talk, where a lot of these take off. We'll see. We'll see. Let's assess. Okay, so Immortal made it. Immortal isn't my favorite Sue Lin Tan, but I'm excited to see that it made it. Oh, we've got all of the fan fiction books, don't we? That's something. A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping, which I'm gonna read, I think, next. I'm finishing up the Samantha Schweblin short stories, and then I think I'm gonna dive into that one. So I'm really excited about that. Night and the Moth, not surprised to see that there. Mate, I would categorize as paranormal romance, but I guess that's splitting hairs when you only have like 5 categories. Wild Reverence, I still need to read. Emily Wilde, I don't know that, again, I would categorize it as a romance, but more of like a cozy fantasy with a romantic element. But I also guess I don't know the definition as much as I should. I do love Sue Lin Tan. I think I might sit on this because I'm still hoping. How long do we have to vote? Does it say? Can I find it? I can't find it. I want to read A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping because I have hopes. Oh, well, I loved Mate too, but I voted for Deep End already. And I have hopes for Wild Reverence. I don't know. I'm gonna sit. I do know more of these than I thought. So that is something. Okay. Let's move on to fantasy. I did see a book that I just finished, nominated in the little preview, so I'm very excited to see that. I need to read Red City. I need to read The Incandescent. We've got Bury Our Bones. Perfect. The Raven Scholar, which I just finished and am hoping to sit down and talk about yet this week. Ideally, I was going to do that tonight, but then this happened. Okay, Catabasis, I still need to read. Hemlock and Silver was also fantastic. Watermoon, I started and then it was due back at the library. The Everlasting, perfect. A Drop of Corruption, I still need to read. I really loved the first one that I read earlier this year. Oh, this is hard. Okay, this is hard. Bury Our Bones, I loved. The Raven Scholar, I loved. The Everlasting. I think it's going to come down, because in my mind, Bury Our Bones is fantasy, but it's also so kind of like historically coded for me. The Everlasting, The Raven Scholar would be the winner in terms of just like epic fantasy, like most kind of textbook fantasy and world creation. But this is hard. Okay, I think I'm gonna vote so will The Everlasting make it through? Because if The Everlasting and The Raven Scholar both made it through, that would be ideal. That's what I would like. And Bury Our Bones, obviously, and Hemlock and Silver. I would like all of those books to make it through, but I don't know the odds, especially when you've got a Brandon Sanderson and a Joe Hill. Is there a horror? Did they get rid of horror? No, there's a horror. Whew. But I guess I don't read enough. Oh, it wasn't Joe Hill, it's Joe Abercrombie, which makes way more sense. But also I haven't read that book or know his work enough that I thought that no, there is a Joe Hill. Anyway, I'm going to stop dilly-dallying and I'm going to vote for The Everlasting. I'm going to vote with my heart. Although I still love, this was a good category this year. There were a lot of good fantasies I read this year, and I haven't even read all of the fantasies I want to read. Okay, science fiction. I'm hoping to see the Ling Ling Huang here. So let's cross our fingers. I'm not anticipating having read a lot of the sci-fi. I think last year I read a surprising amount of it. Was it sci-fi or was it horror? Maybe both. Local Heavens, I still do really want to read. Ling Ling Huang didn't make it. What the heck is that about? Well, poo on a stick. That's disappointing. I'm sure all of these books are great. I just don't really have as much familiarity with them. Listen, I thought I was on it. I talk about so many books every month, but clearly not enough. Okay, horror, The Lamb made it, The Bewitching made it. Oh, Immaculate Conception is put in horror. Interesting. I guess that kind of makes sense. We Love You, Bunny is due back at the library and I haven't read it yet. Possession of Alba Diaz, yes. Hungerstone, I still need to swing back to. Buffalo Hunter Hunter, I own and need to get read. That was like on my second tier of 10 before the end. It was my like 11 before the end. Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Zhang, I also need to read. I've been looking forward to that one. Okay, so based on this, it's between Immaculate Conception and The Possession of Alba Diaz for me, but this feels like a very interesting category. I wouldn't have called this category. So it comes down to the kind of extremes of conception of horror in the sense of Alba Diaz is historical and it's rooted in that history, but also like the very personal and the idea of loss of, well, actually both of them are kind of playing with the idea of loss of self and loss of control, but in very different ways. Alba Diaz has the more traditional possession. Immaculate Conception, though, you could also make a case for it being possession, but it being a more sci-fi version of that, and a kind of like dystopian version of that, while also playing on really toxic friendships and jealousy and artistic expression. But the Isabel Cañas is my favorite Cañas so far. This is hard. Are both of them guaranteed to make it to the next round? I don't know. I do feel like it's not as loaded in the sense that some of the big hitters that I thought would be in this category were in fantasy instead, like Joe Hill. So this is hard. I love both of the. I'm gonna go with Alba Diaz for now. For now, that's what I'm going with. We'll see. Okay, debut. When the Tides Held the Moon is still on my list that I'm really hoping for or to get to before the end of the year as well. Odds, we'll see. Dominion I've been seeing everywhere, but like don't have a real sense of it. I feel like I've been seeing them merge more visually recently. Junie is supposed to be great. This is usually I know the debut books or like have read a bunch of the debut books, and this year I don't know that I've read any of them. I've read a lot of historical romance though, even with that I'm behind. Okay, I'm gonna skip this category, and I feel like we're gonna be saying that a lot over the next couple of categories. All right, favorite audiobook. I have Great Big Beautiful Life. We'll see if I get it finished in time to vote. I don't think there should be Harry Potter in this category, but whatever. I have the Kamala Harris on hold at the library. We'll see if that comes in. A new production of Pride and Prejudice. Honestly, I know that I don't necessarily want to see more Ali Hazelwood in the sense that she's in a lot of categories, but her audiobooks are great. I love listening to her audiobooks, so I don't like Mel Robbins. I'm going to skip ahead to young adult fantasy and sci-fi, and I swear to God, if I do not see Tracy Deonn in this category, maybe I will just get up and we'll call it a day. Let's see. All right. I've been seeing the Allison Saft, Sunrise on the Reaping. The Otherwhere post I still need to get to. The Rose Bargain, interesting, but that makes sense to me. Okay, Oathbound is here. We're okay. Never Ever After, I still need to get to. Oh, The House Zephyr. Why did I think that was adult? The new Marissa Mayer. Interesting. Okay, Forgery of Fate, I still want to read too. Honestly, well, I'm voting Oathbound, but I don't know how to feel about these categories. I'm not going to lie to you. Okay, let's go to young adult fiction. I'm anticipating not really knowing any of these because I don't really gravitate to this anymore. There was a new E. Lockhart this year. Say a Little Prayer I've heard good things about. That looks cute. Nobody in particular. Okay, so that's a lie. Nobody in Particular was really cute. I really liked it. Under the Same Stars by Liva Bray, I'm very interested in. It is, I think, World War II fiction, though, so you know why it's fallen down my list a little bit. Oh, And They Were Roommates made it, too. I read And They Were Roommates and Nobody in Particular in the same month, I think. You can fact check me on that. I'm going to vote for Nobody in Particular. I really liked that. I thought it was really cute. It was a nice royal romance. All right, nonfiction. I'm going to be very interested to see how much of this I know this year because I feel like I've listened to a decent amount of new nonfiction. And right off the bat, okay, Girl on Girl, I just finished last month. Are You Mad at Me? I have the ebook out from the library right now. The New Age of Sexism I do want to read. Everything is Tuberculosis. I think we'll probably take it. I have read Enshittification, looks good. You Didn't Hear This From Me, I've read. One Day Everyone Will Have Always Been Against This. I didn't get to in time from the library. Murderland. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, yeah, so there are some great books in here. There was a new Mary Roach this year, which I feel like I knew. I feel like that was a text chain we had in my group chat. The Tragedy of True Crime. Is this? No, I don't want to go all the way there. That's not what I thought. I thought it was going to be an analysis of true crime as a genre. Doesn't look like that's quite what that is. Oh, and now they're all out of order. What did I want to vote for? Okay, You Didn't Hear This From Me, Girl on Girl, Murderland, Everything is Tuberculosis are the ones I've read. Everything is Tuberculosis is going to get through no problem. Murderland, Girl on Girl, You Didn't Hear This From Me. They're very different. Well, Girl on Girl and You Didn't Hear This From Me are both kind of like cultural, sociological explorations. I'm going to vote for Murderland because I like a really niche theory and apparently lots of talk about bridges. Also, I think that maybe that will help me convince my friend Dana to read Murderland. I've already convinced Mandy. Okay, memoir. As expected, the Sherry Frankie is here. The Malala, I need to read Careless People. I got from the library. I started to listen to it, didn't get through it, so I do need to swing back to that one because I think that's going to be very important. I think it's based on these, and I haven't scrolled all the way, obviously. I think it's going to probably potentially come between Sherry Frankie and Careless People, but I think Careless People is going to carry the older reader contingent stronger, but we'll see if that matters. And scrolling through the rest of these, yeah. Lots of celebrity memoirs as usual. I'm going to go ahead and vote for the Sherry Frankie. All right, history and biography. The Zorg I keep looking at and thinking I've read because it has a cover similar to The Wager in my mind, which is probably on purpose. It's probably like, if you liked this boat book, here's another boat book. The Mark Twain, I do want to read. I do admit that I want to read it. And I have had to stop myself from putting the audiobook on hold at the library because it's like, 48 hours or something? And I have to be realistic with myself. I'm not going to listen to all of that in 3 weeks. It's just not going to happen. Jane Austen's Bookshelf looks interesting. The Cure for Women looks interesting. Honestly, I thought that came out. It has a cover like I've seen it before. Let me put it that way. Original Sins I've read, and I guess is the only book I've read. Why did I think I'd read more history? Maybe it's because history and biography have been smushed together, but I feel like they've been smushed together for a while. All right, I'm going to go ahead and vote for Original Sins because I can. Okay, so let me think here in terms of, I don't know that I'm feeling like particularly compelled to have to read to any category, to have read to any category. I think that there are more books in fantasy that I want to read yet than anything in terms of like having that broader kind of knowledge base, but I guess we'll see what even makes it through, as well as maybe horror. I don't know. I feel like the last couple of years, I've kind of been dancing around this idea of, am I over the Goodreads Choice Awards? And I think, was it last year? I even said that straight up in the title of my video. And to be completely honest with you, I'm kind of feeling uninspired. There are books in here I'm really excited about and really happy to see. I don't know. The horror section has some great stuff. The romance section, I don't know. It feels very flat. I don't know. Again, wouldn't have put the favorites there, but what do I know? And then I'm trying to think, like, are there debuts I've read this year that I would have loved to see? Because I usually have a better sense of the debut category. So have I been slacking? At the same time, I've been very conscious this year about trying to read more historical romance and prioritize that and put my money where my mouth is, essentially. And even though I have not read everything I want to have read in that genre, or even the romantasy side of that genre, if we're thinking of authors like India Holton or even Eva Leigh, who is one of, or Eva Lee, who is one of my favorite historical romance authors, who has kind of branched out this year with a kind of romantasy title that is very historical romance coded. That, I don't know where I'm going with that. Oh, Kill the Beast. Kill the Beast wasn't in debut, and it wasn't in fantasy. I don't like that. That's one of my favorites of the year. That's a bummer. I would have loved to see at least one of the Alexandra Vasti books in one of the categories, because I think of the historical romance, she's been the one or the author that I've seen kind of like more widely accepted across bookish social media platforms this year, or maybe that's just the circles I'm running in. I don't know. I preferred Earl Crush by a slim margin, but I think that Ladies in Hating is what I probably would have nominated. Moderation didn't have necessarily the best reviews, but I loved it, thought it was doing something really interesting. Would have loved to see that in some category. Trespassers at the Golden Gate, I would have liked to see in history, because it's following a history through the lens of a case, but it's really about that history. Sorry, now it's just me scrolling through what I've read. I was glad to see The Hounding. Let me see here. I was glad to see These Summer Storms, though it's wild to see Sarah MacLean outside of the romance category, but because of the way romance has been falling over recent years, it's been so long since I've seen her in the romance category too. I was excited to see And They Were Roommates and Nobody in Particular. The listeners didn't get any noms in historical fiction. Harriet Tubman live in concert, I would have loved to see get a nomination. It's kind of genre defying. I would have loved to see that in debut, if nothing else, because I think it's doing something really interesting with voice and structure. That's kind of a bummer. The Unworthy. How was The Unworthy not nominated? Okay, let me go back to horror. Like, how many... The Lamb and The Unworthy are kind of linked in my mind because I read them around the same time. The Unworthy has 38,888 ratings. And The Lamb has 23,809 ratings with a slightly higher average star rating. But what's the cutoff again? I don't remember. The Unworthy is sitting at 3.63. Again, it's a little more experimental. Well, poo. All right, Deep End, yes. We're getting like toward the end probably of like the 2025 releases I've read. Victorian Psycho would have been neat to see in horror. I did enjoy that. I knew A Tropical Rebel Gets the Duke was not going to be nominated, but it's the winner in my heart. I was glad to see, and a little surprised, I'm not gonna lie, to see Immortal by Sue Lynn Tan in Romantasy. And yeah, okay. I guess that's it. I still have a lot of books that I need to read, but I'm not going to be shifting my reading based on any of these nominees, I don't think, this year. I'm not going to feel compelled to finish any category necessarily. There were some categories that were hard, like fantasy and horror, as usual, honestly, but that's where I'm sitting, I guess. So I guess let me know how you voted, what you're thinking, how you're feeling about everything. But thank you for hanging out and listening to my thoughts. Like and subscribe if you feel like it. Read something good, and yeah,